Hey everyone, welcome back to Shattering Ceilings. It's Lauren
and Megan. Good.
and
And Adam.
today and Adam, right? We have Adam Vance today. We have a really special interview with our friend Adam. So you can say hi, Adam.
Hi, everyone. How are you? So excited to be here, and thank you for having me on. I'm grateful and honored.
Aw, of course.
We're so happy to have you.
Seriously, we're honored. So we're gonna get right into it if you're cool with that.
Let's do it. Let's do
All
it.
right. So obviously we know you well, but we want
I don't actually. Lauren
That's
knows
true.
you. I don't know you.
She hears about you, Adam.
Tell us about yourself. Yes, I know
Yes,
of you.
yes, Lauren and I have spent some time together, but Meg, I'm excited to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about me. Like, I live in Connecticut right now. Um, I have full-time jobs. I have a side hustle business. My full-time jobs are I coach diving. I coach so many different teams.
Mm-hmm.
I've been involved in the sport of diving for like a long time, since I was 10.
Wow.
I'm 43 now, so I've been involved in the sport for 33 years, minus the 8-year hiatus I took in my 20s when I needed to find myself,
Okay.
and find other things. So alongside of that, I'm a very spiritual person. I have a dog, pit bull named Sasha, who is like my everything, next to my partner Tomer, who is a yoga instructor. I've also been alcohol free for almost 4 years, which is like a huge part of my journey.
That's awesome.
And yeah, all things health and wellness. Like, I just listened to your guest, Gabby. I had the honor of meeting her, but I have so many things in common with her too. Super stoked. I think I'm like the first male guest on your show, so super stoked about that.
You are.
Yeah. I'm vegan.
And a vegan.
Ooh, and a vegan.
Yeah.
And I know, right?
And you have
Wait,
a super
you went vegan?
and a super cool human design too. What are you?
Yes, I'm a 1-3 manifester. Also a Gemini as well. Yeah, I'm a June Gemini person. So
I'm the outlier in the group.
You are, but that's okay because we all mesh so well, Meg.
Yes.
Wait,
I'm
what
gonna
are
bring
you,
that
Meg?
Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn.
Okay,
So like
okay.
total opposite.
Great. You're gonna keep us like together. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
I'll do
like
my
ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
I love it. I'm so excited for it.
Good. So
Okay,
yeah, that's a little bit about me.
A little bit about you. So how did you come into like diving? How did that start for you?
So I was a little kid, and I can still like remember, like, we tried soccer, we tried t-ball, and I remember like stabbing my soccer ball because I hated team sports. Like, hit everything. And I still remember the moment we were leaving like the last t-ball game, and like I was out in the outfield doing cartwheels, right? And it was like the one time my parents were like, what do you want to do? And like in my head, it's this like magical time when they asked me finally. I think I was like 6 years old. They were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to flip around. So they enrolled me in gymnastics, and I did gymnastics for like 4 years. And then I was just fooling around at the local pool, and someone asked me if my mother was there. And I was like, yeah, she's sitting like right over there. And the next day I was signed up for the diving team.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and it was just super casual and fun. And it's just a gift that I had. Like, it was something I knew I loved to do. So I continued that, and I won a lot of awards. Continued it through high school, and I did like a club. I was like the state champion in Pennsylvania. I was all-American diver. I was like top 10 in the country when I was a teenager. I got, nice little college scholarships. So that was like a big part of my life and a big part of my identity, which has been interesting, kind of unraveling that into my 20s, that like I was so wrapped up in like, you know how people ask you like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm a diving coach. And that's kind of like what I said. Like, that's what I did that then. So that's a little bit of how I got into diving, Meg.
That's awesome. So sorry, Laura, do you want to say something?
Well, so many questions, right? Yeah. So I want to dive into that a little bit, since you kind of touched on it, the whole identity thing. We talked about that a lot last week too. And I think at some point, most of us, I feel like struggle right at some point with identity. Like, can you talk a little bit about that? How that was unraveling or whatever it was that kind of brought you to that point?
Yeah. So, I was kind of like, my brother likes to call me the golden child of the family because, like, my sport took me beyond what our family's like level or expectations were. Like,
Okay.
their expectations were here. We're going to stay here. We're going to stay under the radar. We're not going to be like big, shiny objects for people to see. And I was kind of like that person who broke through. I shattered that ceiling.
I
Like
love
I did
that.
there. I shattered that ceiling in my family. And it was kind of like I shattered that. And then it was like this expectation was placed on me, like, oh, he's the diver, he's the state champion, he's the one who travels the country, he does this, he does this. And it was like always wrapped up in my accolades of my sport.
Okay.
So it kind of carried on up into college, and I was kind of okay with it because I was like, yeah, like I'm pretty badass at this sport.
Right.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
And in high school, like I was quiet, and it's kind of what like brought me out of my shell a little bit with my peers, was people like recognizing me for what I did in high school sports. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Until I like was like 18 or 19 and I started dealing with my sexuality. And I knew I was always different.
Okay.
Right. And I just didn't feel safe in any environment that I was in to kind of come out of that. And all of a sudden, like my sport started to struggle. I could perform at a competition, but my daily practice regimen, my daily life was that I was like super depressed. Like I was deep down there in there. There was like a lot of alcohol use. There was a lot of drug use, like to the point where I was like taking drugs like the day before I would go to a national championship. Like
Oh, wow.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think it was 2.5 years into my first college experience that I took like a big boy step, but I did it in a very immature way. But I was just like, I'm leaving college, I'm leaving diving. I was in a relationship, my first relationship at the time. And I was like, this is what I need inside me, and no one can tell me any different. Because I knew like my soul needed to like break free of that diver identity, and I needed to find some things.
Right.
So I did. So I just took the step, and I started working in restaurants and meeting a different type of person.
Okay.
And that's really where it kind of spawned.
Wow.
So where did that go from there? So you quit diving, started exploring relationships and like your life outside of athletics, because that's a really huge thing a lot of athletes struggle with, like when you're not competing in your sport. I mean, I can say that about my partner. Like he still struggles right now. He's like, I think I might do competitions again. I'm like, okay. Okay. But like, how
Like, slow your roll, bro. Slow your roll.
It's been like 7 years. When you made that switch, like what did you learn about yourself with that freedom that you now had of not being connected to diving?
At the time, it was not a healthy relationship with extra time for me. Let's put it that way. Like I learned a lot about myself that like I had never sat with myself to know myself enough to know like what I wanted to do. So all I knew and all that was like instilled in me or that I had learned was like hard work ethic. So I'd work like doubles at the restaurant every day. Whatever they needed, I would do. But I would like when we were done, I'm like, let's party. Like that was kind of like my fun outlet now. And that's what I really learned about myself. And I learned that like I probably shouldn't have been in a relationship, my first one. I should have just like dated around a little bit, but shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right.
And it taught me like how to treat people afterwards, because that first relationship was like it was doomed from the get-go. But we're still friends today, which is really cool to say.
Oh, that is cool.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
But like I learned that I could do different skills. And I knew that, like I learned about myself that I was good at different things. So, like I started at a restaurant as a busboy, and like within 2 months worked my way up to like a server that was serving in like the most money-making spot. And then they like were switching things up. There was a management shift, and I was like, I'm gonna get a part-time job at a retail store that I loved because I just wanted the discount. And I worked my way up to a manager in that store and got promoted and moved to a different store that was on a city street in Philadelphia. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this.
Right.
I learned visual merchandising. I just learned lots of different things. Then I went back to the restaurant business again, and was like, this is a lot of fun. You can make some quick money. But that's where I knew I was like kind of stalling out a little bit.
Okay.
And it's funny how things come full circle.
Yeah.
So it was at that time where my friends kind of grabbed me and they're like, I think it's like my 27th birthday. They were like, yo, bro, your drinking is out of control. And they had been saying that to me a lot. And I just kind of was like, yeah, I'm fine. Because I grew up with it and I grew up seeing it. And I finally, go ahead, sorry.
In your family, like, was it something that you often saw with your family? Like, or
yeah, so my
common?
mom is like 25 years sober.
Okay.
My grandfather was, he got sober at like 50. It's like on both sides of my family. I see it a lot. And it's kind of funny, like in my 20s, I was always like, why am I surrounded by so many alcoholics? Like, why am I surrounded with so many people who are in recovery? And I would always say that to myself. And now I'm like, duh, this is why.
Right.
Yeah,
we always think we can beat it or we can be different, I think sometimes,
I'm better. I'm like, my thought was like, I'm better than that at that time. Yeah, was I wrong? But that was the first time I tried getting sober. And I did it all on my own, and I did it for a year and a half. And during that time of clarity, my mom calls me out of the blue and she's like, your high school just finally built a pool and they need a diving coach. And it was like, in my head, I was like, well, I have kind of wanted to go back. And I had just been introduced to vision boards.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So,
now, are you a specific manifester or are you a non-specific?
I have to be, I'm specific.
Okay.
But I wasn't very specific about this. Like, I just had like a picture of a pool and a diving board on it. And like a month later, I get this call from my mom that they need a coach. And I was like, you know what? I need a change of pace. So I started coaching a little bit. And I was like, I really like this. Like, this is a lot of fun being back in this element, back in my identity. So it's kind of doing both. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what did you learn? So you've talked about like the stuff that you've gone through, right? Like, and that journey that you took going outside of diving. What did you take back into diving as a coach that you didn't have as an athlete that you now like, and this can go beyond that, like what you've learned in that period of time since, now that you've been a coach for a while, that kind of shapes the way that you lead your athletes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's really good because I think seeing so many other coaches and seeing like the way that I responded, I learned a lot of empathy and patience and understanding. Especially today with the amount of knowledge that we have of the way that different people and humans respond to different stimulus, right? Like we don't all respond to the same thing. And that's part of like an archaic system. So I was like a very chill, laid back, like the first couple of days I'm like on the pool deck doing yoga with them, trying to connect. I want to connect with them versus like, this is how it's done. Like, and I know we're on a podcast and they can't see me. I'm like slapping my hand like a drill sergeant. But I didn't want to be the drill sergeant. I wanted to like know, and that's kind of how I carried it along, is like knowing what they're there for. Because you can tell, like, my identity was diving and I was there because I was the golden child. But now as a coach, I want to make sure that their goals are reached. And if their goal is like just learning how to do a back dive, then they freaking won. Like, I don't need you to win a state championship to feel worthy. And that's something that I've really taught my athletes now, is that you are worthy even if you're on your worst day.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
so important.
Because I think so many times in athletics, especially like collegiate athletics, because as a coach, you can be very high pressure. Are you going to have your job tomorrow? Are you still going to have it? Like, if this person loses, it's really important for these human beings that, because everything that they're told,
Mm-hmm.
and high level athletes are very coachable and they're very impressionable,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they learn like from little on up. But I just think being able to like provide them a safer space in
Mm-hmm.
today's world where everyone needs a big freaking hug
Yeah.
has been like monumental for me.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
what have you seen with them? Like, so implementing that kind of practice, and maybe that's like their first experience with a coach like that, right? Because like you
Yeah.
said, it's very common to see the drill sergeant type, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed like growth in other areas besides, just their performance with diving?
Yeah. Yeah. For those, you're always going to have those athletes that aren't open to it. And they just
Mm-hmm.
kind of roll their eyes at you like, what is this woo stuff you're doing? Right.
Yeah.
But like, for example, I woke up this morning and one of my former athletes who graduated last year, she's in Philly, she's in a PT program. She sent me a reel of a guy. She's like, this is what you would say to me every day. And I forget the guy's name, but it was a reel of him like understanding that like going through hardships
Mm-hmm.
is only going to help you. And I was like, I'll be very honest. I was sitting on the toilet as I was like looking at this, and I was like, oh my God, this warms my heart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is like the fact that I've seen this and they are now picking this up
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that in a competition, like
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them in competitions completely eat it, like just have an awful dive. And so many athletes will fold and not be able to continue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you have 5 more to do. Like, let's get up at like, it's okay. Like, that was just one. That was like
Right.
having breakfast this morning. You had a bad breakfast. Like, let's just move on. But seeing them be able to pick up their pieces and learn from their mistakes quickly
Mm-hmm.
is huge. That's what I've seen with athletes. But outside the pool,
Mm-hmm.
just seeing them more open and more curious to like other ways of living, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the college that I coach at is it's a Catholic school.
Okay.
And I'm a gay coach, right? So
Mm-hmm.
some, maybe 15 years ago, those didn't go hand in hand together.
Mm-hmm.
But, being able to like kind of work together with these athletes and I'm very open about who I am, the way I
Mm-hmm.
live. And they're so open to everything. And it's like able to have like a much more comfortable and exciting like practice environment and
Mm-hmm.
just team environment, and watching them go off into the world, like knowing that they had that chance to experience that versus like this rigid drill sergeant type of like, it's my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go off to try something new, like in their job,
Mm-hmm.
a job, or start a business or whatever you want to do in
Right.
your master's program, they at least have learned they have a set of tools that they can pick from, or they know that they have this person that has their back that they can like, you know,
Yeah.
DM me on Instagram or shoot me a text message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so I have a question.
Yeah.
First, before I ask the question though, I want to say that like as a parent, hearing you as a coach like that, to know that that's how you're showing up like means so much, because I know that like as a coach you have an opportunity to influence a whole generation of people, because what you teach in your gym or in the at the pool is going to reflect how those people show up outside of the pool, kind of like how you just talked about. And I mean, just really influence how people are showing up in the world. So I would like, if you're willing to, for you to give us just like a little example of how in real time you would coach somebody that, say, is coming in that's maybe having a hard time outside of diving. How would you coach them through like a shitty day?
So this happened yesterday, like
Oh, perfect.
literally. Yeah. I mean, you're reading my mind. So, I mean, so this week in our practice, it's called Fright Week because next week is Halloween. So it's the part of the season where a lot of divers and athletes, they get their hard dives back or they learn some new ones. And I have a junior on the team who is the first to learn a new dive on the team. No problem doing it. And she came in yesterday and she's like, I think I just failed. Actually, she didn't say I think. I said, I just failed my nursing exam. I'm having the worst day ever. And, we had a plan to learn or redo a couple hard dives. So obviously plan is gone now, right? We just have to be flexible. It's all about being flexible because I'm not going to endanger her because we had to stick to our plan.
Right.
So, you know, I really asked her, because I know her, what do you want to do today? And really letting her guide that, her own journey of that. Now, I wouldn't do this with a 7-year-old because they can't guide their own journey. It would be a little bit different. It would be like a scaled back, you know, I would just have them do things that they are good at that day.
Yeah.
Like, what are your strong points today? We're going to build you up today. So with my collegiate athlete, I was like, you guide your own journey. Like, what do you want to work on today? And her journey was not doing as many dives as everyone else. You know, she was very upset still leaving the practice because, you know, her test was still on her mind, and she still was thinking about, like, I didn't do the dive, you know. And I said, you know, tomorrow's a new day. Let's reevaluate tomorrow. And in my mind, like, that's the best that I can do with someone who's having a bad day. But it's all about being flexible. You can't be so rigid in today's society, right?
Yeah.
So like, I just want to put that in just for like, for anybody that's sitting here listening to this and is maybe not an athlete and can't relate in that way, like, you just shared 2 freaking gems. Number 1, be flexible, right? No matter what, like, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself a little bit of grace. So for anybody that listened to our last podcast episode, like Gabby talks about that a lot, giving yourself grace. And 2, like, if you're having a shitty day, it's okay to just take that day to do what you're good at. I love that. Like, you're waking up, you're feeling like crap. Like, what you can do right now is something that you know that you're good at, that's going to make you feel better and then make the rest of the day easier. That's so amazing. I love that you do that with your athletes.
That is. It's so
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's super important. And, you know, that wasn't something that I always was, you know, flexible at being flexible. Like, I'm someone who, like, I love a plan. I love to make a list and be like, this plan's going to be easy. It's going to be set out. Let's go. And, you know, just over experience and learning, you know, through failures with other athletes, that, like, okay, like, this isn't going to work today. Like, what's going to work in this generation? And I've been in this certain area. I've been coaching for over 10 years now. And, like, seeing the different generations, like, they learn differently now. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And so you said you have a health and wellness business as well.
I
You do some
yeah.
coaching there, like nutrition coaching, for example.
Yeah.
How does that translate to somebody who isn't a high level athlete? Because there's just like, I mean, there is an edge, like you said before, like, to be a high level athlete, there is a pain point that you have pushed past and that you know how to, like, work through, that maybe your, you know, average, you know, I'm saying that with air quotes, person might not resonate with. So how does this translate? Like, how would you share this with somebody that you're coaching in nutrition or coaching with, like, some mindset work that isn't an elite level athlete?
Can you, really quick, can you hear me? The computer is freezing a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, you are frozen. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
You're back.
Sweet. I'm back. All right. Awesome. So again, it's being flexible and allowing them the grace. And I think, like, when I coached them, one thing about this was, like, I was coaching adults. So it was like a whole different arena that sparked so much energy for me. Because it was different. It was something different along the same lines. But it's not, again, not being so rigid, but making sure that the communication is there about, like, what they can do to help themselves, versus, like, it has to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And if you don't follow this plan, you failed. You know, it's constant communication and just checking in with them and being flexible on their journey, because their journey is not my journey. You know, I've been doing this in my head for a long time. And a lot of times you get someone who, they are scared to death to try something new and to do something good for themselves. That's what I see a lot, that they're just scared to do something good for themselves because they've never allowed themselves to do that. So it's like, for me, it's really fun because I'm like, oh wow, we're opening up a new channel here. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're opening up a brand new box for this person. They've never felt this good before because they've done it for themselves. And that's where, you know, allowing the flexibility in day-to-day coaching, of how they're planning their weeks out, how they're doing this. And, you know, if they're doing really well, like letting them know, like, if you're going out to eat, here's
Mm-hmm.
some great swaps that you can do and feel good about the choices that you're making. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about like empowering them to make their own
Right.
choice, you
Right.
know, just like I did with that college athlete. Like, just try to let them lead their journey, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of there to, you know, give them the tap on the shoulder to remind them, like, here's why you're doing the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to do that. Do this kind thing for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you're so good, you know, at communicating clearly with people and being kind about it. And one thing as your friend that I value in you is your ability to reflect back to me how I'm showing up. I mean, you've done this for me several times.
Oh.
Like I remember like you would be like, Lar, are you being judgy right now? Like you just have this really great way. You've said that. Do you remember saying that to me?
I don't know. I don't
We were
know.
in Vegas. We were in Vegas. But
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
yeah. But you just had this really, I feel like, great way of seeing the bigger picture, you
Mhm.
know? And for me, sometimes I feel like I'm so zoned in on something. Like I've actually been told several times, you need to look at the bigger picture. And so my question for you is like, is this something like the whole reflecting back thing to someone else, like
Yeah.
mirroring, right? Is this something that you do intentionally? And if so, like where did you pick up this skill? Because it's amazing. It's brilliant.
Therapy. A lot of therapy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think looking at the bigger picture, I've I've had the fortune to work with like great coaches too, who also
Mm-hmm.
help me look at the bigger picture,
Okay.
you know, with athletes. I think my partner has helped me step outside of the box a
Mm-hmm.
lot to look at a bigger picture. And I don't think I've always had the gift for that, but I've always been like a very open person. And like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I said before, like my brother would call me the golden child of the family, but in fact, like I was really the black sheep because I was the one who like didn't think and align with the rest of them.
Okay.
Everything I
Mm.
would say would be the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think like that open-mindedness
Mm-hmm.
and acceptance of others has really helped me like look at the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like over the past, you know, when I got sober, I got a therapist right away, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
which helped me work through like a lot of things. And most recently, I switched to another therapist who's been doing like a lot of internal work and
Mm.
looking at, I mean, this is like the best therapist I've ever had. Like,
Oh.
whoa, this guy is amazing. But
Uh-huh.
doing this internal work and really looking how everything is connected
Uh-huh.
Mm.
helps me look at this like big picture. I don't even remember why I said you were being judgy, but like, you know, it happened. It happened, but it's like, okay, well, this is happening because of this, or
Mm-hmm.
we can not be bothered by this other person. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I
Mm-hmm.
just think like there's always a greater, to me, there's always a greater good that can be served
Mm-hmm.
versus like for example, I was just in a meeting and someone was agitating someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, don't let that bother you for the rest of the day. This is insignificant. We'll
Mm-hmm.
work this out in our planning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
You're
I
so
just
good at
always
that
see like
though.
an end goal,
Mm-hmm.
usually maybe a little quicker than some other people. Like
Mm.
what the greater good is. So
So when
yeah,
you do
that's
find yourself in a moment, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no,
When
no,
you do
no.
find yourself in a moment that like maybe you're struggling to see the bigger picture, do you have like a practice or a tool that you use to help bring yourself back into that larger perspective?
So again, yeah. And I've just started utilizing it, which is crazy that you asked me this. So there's so many different tools, but like utilizing just like I'll find myself getting like overwhelmed or
Mm.
like having a high anxiety. And if I can catch it enough, I'll, put my hand on my chest and I just take a couple breaths and I remind myself, because we have so many parts inside of us that are fighting to take control. And we have like that small child inside of us that like still needs a little healing and a big hug. And this is something that I've learned is like, and it's really helped. And I did this literally like 5 times last week. Just hand on my chest, take a deep breath, and tell everyone like, hi, I'm Adam and I'm in control right now. And I've got this.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I've got this right now, because it could be your defensive part. It could be, your judgmental part. Everyone has so many different parts, and just like reminding those little parts, because those little parts are there to protect you. It's something I learned a lot in therapy. Like my alcoholism was actually there to protect me for something, and learning that, it was like, oh, I'm in charge. Like I'm good. So that's been something that's been huge to help me out.
It's so funny you bring that up, because I literally just got done reading Gabby Bernstein's newest book, and she talks about all the protector parts. And that was like the first time ever that I've heard that. And she also talked about like the little girl that she had to heal, and how that sometimes comes into play. And that just makes so much sense, because when you're caught up in the moment, if you don't, like you do, stop and kind of like try to recognize what's happening, I feel like it's very easy for all those little things to it just happens, automatically. So it's a really good practice. I love that.
Yeah. That's a really cool call to action that we can give to everybody, or like, little niblet that they can take home and really use. So thank you for that. So we've asked you a lot of questions, Adam, and I mean, we've got some time left, so I'm sure there'll be more. But is there anything like, this is your space to speak into? Is there anything that you want to make sure that people know while we have you on this podcast?
Did we lose you?
I think so.
Oh wait, he's back.
I'm back. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay.
YMCA's Wi-Fi. I'm back.
Did you hear the question, or do you want me to ask it again?
Yeah, please ask the question again.
Okay. I wasn't sure how badly we lost you. So we've asked you a bunch of questions. We may ask you some more, but I wanted to just give you a little window of time in the middle of this to like share what is most important on your heart. Like, this is your platform. This is your podcast interview. What is something that you want to share with everybody and make sure that they know while you have the opportunity to do it?
Oh, thank you so much. This is big. I really just want people to know and understand that you can change the freaking trajectory of your life at any time you want to. And this is something that I've, struggled with over like the past 10 years. Like, you get stuck inside these boxes so much that ultimately you really are putting yourself inside of this box. And you don't have to live inside that box. You can live inside of a triangle if you want to. You can live inside of a circle. Like, you don't have to live inside of anything. But like, if there's something that's calling you, just go out and like explore it and try it out and see if it's a fit for you. Now, this could be like eating well. This could be getting a new job. This could be trying a new workout. This could be reading a different type of book. Like, it's all the different things. Going to a different restaurant to meet a different type of person, I just think like so many times in my life, I thought like, I have to stay in this lane. I have to stay in this lane. And when I started opening up my mind to being like, I don't have to do what everyone else expects me to do. And to be honest, like, the shock value is a little bit of fun. Like, when they're like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
That's the manifester.
The shock value for me is like terrifying.
Or a Gemini. I don't know. It could be either one on that end.
Oh my God. Like, I love it. And like, the one thing, like, there's been many things that I've tried in my life and I failed at, right? And there's been things where people have doubted me so many times. And I guess people who are listening to this, like, people are going to doubt you, people are going to hate, but like, whatever, like what is that saying? Like other people's opinion of you is not your is no business of yours. And you know, it's easier said than done, but it's really freaking true. Like people are gonna doubt you. And I was listening to a podcast this morning and someone was like, their friends were doubting their business choice and they had a choice in their head to make. And it was like, they can either watch me fail or I'm going to give them a freaking good show. And that's kind of like, I heard that like, I think like a couple years ago. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's give these people a really good show, especially the ones who like doubt me or doubt my journey just a little bit, because this is what inspires me. So I think anyone who is doubting their journey, like you have to just take one step. It's one thing at a time for you. And you can do whatever is on your heart. You can really do it. And I know it's so cliche to say that because like we say it to kids all the time. Like you can do whatever your dreams are made of, right? Like how many times do we hear that? But it's like, I think like as a coach and both of you are parents, like I'm sure you say that, but you also model it. Right? You have
more
like
modeling than anything.
Yeah. It's all about the modeling. And I think now like I'm able to model this for athletes. I'm able to model this for other people that I coach. I'm able to model this for my family. And I'll be honest, like my family looks at me like I have 5 heads most of the time because they're like, where did you come from? And like, where did all this energy come from? And I'm like, I broke out of my box. And they don't get it. They're starting to get it. But like, you know, you can break out of the box that you feel inside of. You can break out of the box that like anyone is holding you in. Like if you feel like your parents or your siblings have this certain role for you, if it no longer serves you in a good way, you do not have to fulfill that role at all. Like fulfill your role.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like from an early age, you started exploring and kind of breaking out of your box, but was it always that way? Like, were you always showing up? Because I mean, I watch you on social media like every freaking day. I'm in the fan club. And I love what you put out there. And I feel like you're always so genuine and you just go for it. And I'm sometimes I'm like, damn, man, like I need to be more like that, you know?
We literally just talked about this like 48 hours ago. I'm like, just go talk to him about what he's doing and how he's doing.
Right. I know. And we're friends and I'm so like, dang. But yeah, like how did this start? Like what gave you like this feeling, this idea, whatever that like you needed to go out there and what gave you like that courage to do it?
Yeah. How'd you take the first step?
Like the confidence and everything like that. Is that what you mean?
Because I think that's what holds a lot of people back. It's the fear.
Yeah. You know, when I was drinking, that held a lot of fear inside of me. You know, I was holding a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear inside of me. And that's why I continued to do it. And when I broke free of that, when I broke out of that box, right, that I'd put myself in, I need to, you know, it was like this habitual thing. When I broke out of that box, it gave me a little extra confidence, right? And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And when I had a relationship for longer than 2 years, I was like, oh wow, I can really live like a healthy life. And when I started like growing outside my certain boundaries, especially like in my relationship, that was huge. Like Tomer has taught me so much about healthy relationships and how like there's open communication, because it used to be all surface level for me and now it's like a much deeper connection. That built a lot of confidence for me. Just taking like little baby steps at a time. Like when I started a side hustle as a need because we had financial problems, and just starting it alone and being like, I'm doing the damn thing. Like that gave me confidence. Changing up like my nutrition routine, like gave me a lot extra confidence. Doing things that like lit me up and that I knew were good for me gave me more confidence. Like things like I started CrossFit because I was scared as shit of CrossFit. I was so scared of it. I thought that people were intimidating. I thought no one would like me. They would judge me. I was like, they're all judgy. And I walk in and I have like, I go to 6:30 a.m. class every day. Like, who am I? Like, you know what I mean? And I have like great friends there. I freaking love it. And it just gives you that little extra boost of confidence. Like, you know, what do they say? Giving yourself these little things of self-care. And by self-care, I don't just mean like facials and pedicures and manicures. By doing these things of like paying your freaking bills on time, like buying the house when you're nervous about buying the house, like getting your ass up to go to the gym because you know it's going to make you feel better,
I love
has
all
grown my
this.
confidence. Like it's just overcoming things that like these limiting beliefs in your head and just trying it one day at a time. Because it doesn't have to be balls to the wall for everything, right? It's one thing at a time. Like I didn't give up drinking, buy a house, get into a relationship, join CrossFit. I didn't do it all at once. Like this has been over 4 or 5 years of like slow growth. Like if you would have met me in 2015, 2016, and compared to now, like not only did I look different, I would have talked to you differently. I would have been like very quiet like this, like very reserved, like yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the things that you can overcome just by doing simple tasks every day and tapping into who you really are and learning more about who you want to be and who you really want to give to the world.
I love that so much, especially because we talk about, you know, building good habits over time. We talk a lot about that on the show. And so, I mean, this is like obviously proof in the pudding. And, you know, yeah, it wasn't all at once, but I mean, that's a big transformation in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's huge. So congratulations to you. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Speaking to that a little bit, like I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. Okay. What are like 3 things that you can say that over that like 5-6 year transformation that you have grown to be so proud of yourself for? Like, what do you value in yourself now that maybe you couldn't see back then?
So proud, obviously giving up alcohol was one, but that gave me my value back for me. Do you know what I mean? So like just by doing that and knowing that that does not serve me at all has provided so much value in my life. And like everything is connected. Everything is so connected. So like that building my confidence, I was then able to like really get to know myself a little bit more and know like I'm gonna go off on a tangent really quick. I used to have these like small conversations in my head. Like I would mentally prepare for everything. I would mentally prepare for a positive outcome, a neutral outcome, and a negative outcome. Do you know how much fucking space that was taking up in my head? Like I was like this, like all the time. Like, what? Here's what I'm gonna do for this, for this, for that. So like now that like I know myself a little bit more, like I've freed up so much space in my body that I can just like have a conversation with the two of you. Like 5 years ago, I would have been up all night, like belly problems, anxiety, like what am I gonna say? Oh my God. Now I'm just able to like just be me. I'm able to just let it flow. And you know, with all of that, I have built so many more meaningful friendships versus just surface friendships, right? Like Lauren and I, like we immediately, the first time we met, there was like a physical attraction, you know,
like clicked.
not physical, but like,
yeah,
I know what
clicked.
you mean.
Yeah, like we didn't start dating or anything. Yeah,
but I know what you mean. Yeah,
maybe if it was like a different lifetime, who knows?
Yeah,
right? You guys together would be fierce.
Oh, God.
Yeah, sorry, Bob. Sorry, Bob. Sorry, Tomer.
No,
but
Tamer's
like
a whole vibe.
clicked
I cannot compete with Tamer. I love Tamer. He's so great.
He is the moment at all moments. You should have
Mhm.
seen his Halloween costume yesterday.
Oh
But
my God, I need pictures of this because I loved his
I
whole
will
outfit
send
when we
them.
were in Cancun. I was like, look at you. It was so
Oh, I
good.
know.
Hmm.
Yeah. He looks like he's at a photo shoot wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Um, yeah. I forget what we were talking about now.
Just
Geez.
things that you're proud of, like things
Right.
that you value
Yeah.
in yourself.
Hmm.
Um, just being like learning to be kinder, like now, like learning to give other, not just myself grace, like learning to understand and give other people their time to grow
Mm. That's so
on their
good.
own timeline and not my timeline. Like
Hmm.
that's where I've seen growth in them, growth in our friendship, and like less headache for me. Like I used to worry about like why is my friend like not returning my text message? Like why are they not calling me back? And now I'm like, oh wait, they have two kids at home. Like they have so much stuff going on that's
Hmm.
different from me. You know what I mean? Their stuff happens during the daytime. I'm coaching 50 kids at nighttime. Like we've got our stuff going on. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
just allowing them to live their life enables me to like when I do can reconnect with them, it's so much more joyous versus like that pent up resentment that I feel like I
Hmm.
used to have, like, oh, they didn't get
Yeah.
back to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That's so
Hmm.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, on a like a professional level, I don't know why I'm using air quotes on professional level, but like, getting back into coaching and just doing it now, like doing it for me. When I say for me, like doing it the way that feels right
Right.
versus the way
Mm.
that someone else wants to do. Um, it's been really, really thrilling to watch some of these athletes go on um, into real life and make some big moves in life. It's been really, really cool.
That
Yeah.
is
And
cool.
go
That's
out the other end
amazing.
as like, I know they're good people. Right.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we have to wrap because you actually have to go coach soon. So, last question for you. You know that
Yep.
our podcast is called Shattering Ceilings. So, we would love
Mhm.
to know how you, just one, if you want to talk about one ceiling that you're shattering in your life currently.
That's a really good question. What am I? I mean, I think I've talked about a lot of them, but like one that I'm really shattering right now is letting my inner child
Mm-hmm.
know that my adult self is now in control. And that's through therapy. Um, and I know it sounds super simple. It's like everyone's been talking, it's like a buzzword now, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
your inner child and all this stuff, and just letting myself realize who I am,
Mm-hmm.
um, and letting those other parts take a rest and letting the current Adam take the reins
Mm-hmm.
and really just like build and construct the life the way that I want to live it.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like staying inside this box of this is how we've always done things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, and being I think the real ceiling is being okay with that.
Yeah.
Because we can construct this idea in our head, right? Of like, I'm going to live my life this way, but you still have like a little bit of guilt in the back of your head. Like, well,
Mm-hmm.
my mom and dad maybe aren't proud of me. My brother looks at me so strange. My friends are like, what the hell are you doing? But like, just learning to be okay and sit with it and be like, I'm doing me. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I could
Thank you
definitely
so
use
much.
that.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting here thinking
Like,
the same thing. Like, ooh.
right? It's
This
been
has been
so
so much fun.
awesome. Yeah, this is so
Yeah, thank you
fun.
so
So
much.
many words of
Yeah.
wisdom
Thank
here,
you so much.
Adam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, my
enjoy the rest
pleasure.
of your
It's
day.
always fun.
Your athletes are lucky to have you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you so
please, like,
Oh,
much.
just keep doing your thing, man. Oh, yep.
where can
Ask a
we
question.
find you? People are going to
We
know
always
more
forget this.
about you. So tell us where all the handles.
Mhm.
Easiest place to connect with me is on Instagram. I am the real Adam Vance because you don't want the fake one. So it's just at the real Adam Vance, and there you got it. Yeah, happy to
Awesome.
chat if you're, if you want to talk about anything we talked about today. So yeah,
Cool. Awesome. Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
so much.
again.
Yeah.
my
Keep being an
pleasure.
awesome
This was
human.
awesome to be on here. Yeah,
We'll do it
so
again.
excited. You guys
Yeah.
have a great day.
Thanks.
You
Awesome.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.